Good afternoon. Dwayne here, Dry Creek Wrangler School. Just want to talk. I had another thought on my mind today. Actually, my wife said a few days ago, she said, this might be something you want to think about talking about this month. And I thought, no, I don't really want to. But it's been on my mind, and I think I will. Y'all don't mind me while I fire up my cigar. This is a subject that only applies to those that it applies to. Okay? Doesn't apply to everybody. Doesn't apply to every situation. So I don't want you getting on here and saying, Dwayne, yeah, but you don't understand. I do understand. So Deanna's gone this week, and she'll be gone for another couple of weeks. She's traveling around visiting family now that school's over, before the weather gets too bad this winter. So I'm here by myself. Now, generally speaking, I love being by myself. All right? I love the quiet. I love the solitude. But it's getting to be sometimes a little bit more than I want. I get tired of cooking for myself. I get tired of washing dishes. And so I'll go to town. Or I'll go about 4 miles up the road here to the Wyerno Bar and Grill. In Wyoming, it's not this way everywhere, but it's common to have an establishment that's a family establishment where you get hamburgers and chicken strips for the kids, and then they have a bar and everything's together and it's all good. That's this place. It's just down the road. Good folks. I went in there today and got me a mushroom Swiss burger and French fries. And I committed the sin of all sins. I had a Dr. Pepper. I'd just been hankering for a Dr. Pepper, so I had one. Now I'm going somewhere with this, okay? There was a guy sitting there, and he's my favorite guy in this whole area. He's the hardest working man in Wyerno. Incredibly, he's just top shelf people. All right, he was sitting there, and I had heard that he had kind of the crud, and he was looking for some soup, checking to see if they had some soup he's going to take to some of his family that had the flu. And he was looking, and so I was reminded, oh yeah, it's flu season. And I got to thinking, and just things started churning around in my brain like they do. It's flu season. It's cold season. If I get a cold, if I get the flu, if I become ill, I don't go to the hospital. I don't go to the doctor. I absolutely do not get the flu shot. And I positively do not go and take their antibiotics for the flu and for the cold. If you do, that's fine. I'm just telling you, what do I do? And I don't do that. If I start feeling ill, I do two things. First, I stop going down and getting fries and Dr. Peppers. All right. And then I will take a glass and I will put 2 ounces of bourbon, usually Buffalo Trace, an ounce of lemon juice, a huge heaping tablespoon of honey, and finish filling it up with another 8 ounces of hot water, and I'll make me a hot toddy. And I'll sip on that, and if I feel really bad, I'll take that in, and I will fill up the bathtub with water as hot as I can stand it. And I will slide down into that hot tub of water and drink that hot toddy. And then I'll go to bed. 99% of the time, I'll wake up the next morning and I'm fine. Okay? Dwayne, where is all this going? When I feel physically ill, I remove the things that are not good, that are hindering and handicapping my health. And I will pick up some temporary things that do help the situation, and I will deal with it. If I go into the doctors and get antibiotics, the antibiotics actually weaken my own immune system. And the more antibiotics I take, the more my body depends on an external source, and the less able I am to deal with my own illness. Did the light bulb just come on? I think in many instances today, we and I hear this more and more about men's mental health. And when I first heard it, I'm like, well, okay, that's reasonable and logical, of course. And I have 2 sons who've been in the military, and so I know about that side of things. That's definitely a situation over there. But like everything else I see come along, it's been taken too far. It's taken too far. Now I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I did a podcast with Chris Williamson. It hasn't been produced, hasn't come out yet. We talked about this very subject. It's one of the things that we talked about. I think the more that you seek help dealing with your problems that you could deal with yourself, the weaker you become. And the more you will require outside assistance to dealing with your problems. When the truth is, and again, I know there are other situations. I said at the beginning, this does not apply across the board to everybody. You have to determine what applies to you and what doesn't, okay? But it's become a thing today that because men are feeling that they're not being heard, they're feeling that life is hard, they're feeling depressed, they're feeling whatever, men should go, all men who are feeling, they should go get therapy. They should deal with their mental health. I don't agree. I think they should man up. I think as much as they can, when it is possible, they should deal with it. They should deal with it. Now, I'm not talking about getting help with addictions. I'm not talking about any of that, okay? I'm talking about just because you feel bad, does not mean you need to go pay somebody to hold your hand so you can whine and complain to them because you feel bad. Suck it up. Now, this is going to be a very, very unpopular, controversial video out there. So what? I don't care. This is something that there are some guys out there that need to hear. You need to man up. You need to man up. You need to quit whining to your wife. Quit whining to your wife. You are her anchor. You are her foundation. You are her strength. And if all you do is go to her every time you feel weak, and lay out before her every weakness that you feel that you have. Now, if she has any natural mothering instinct in her at all, she'll be there for you. But how much are you cracking and weakening and damaging her reliance on your strength? And in the long run, what kind of damage is this doing to your relationship? Not to mention, what kind of damage is this doing to you as a man? As a man, the more antibiotics you take for the flu and for the cold, the less able you are to deal with your flu and cold, the more antibiotics you're going to have. They weaken you. And we have a society today of every time they get the sniffles and the colds, they run to the emergency room because they know in most cases legally the emergency room cannot turn them away. And they're not going to have to sit there for 3 hours to see a doctor to get checked. Look, if you got the flu, if you got the cold, deal with it. Stop taking in the poisons that has weakened your body. Take in the things that have strengthened you. Take in what you need to get you through that time, through that illness, and just deal with it. And the next time cold and flu season comes along, you will be stronger. That works with our mental health as well. You say, Dwayne, I'm depressed. Do you think that is something that's just today? Do you think that is something that is just uniquely you? Depression is a part of human reality. Now, depression that gets so bad it leads to taking one's life, depression that never goes away, depression that's there forever, but usually depression that's there forever is there forever because they've always had someone to come along to cheer them up, to encourage them, to tell them you are wonderful, you are kind, you are this, you are that, to pep them up and pick them up. And they've come to rely so much on external emotional antibiotics that when the antibiotics are not available, they can't deal with it. Look, I have been depressed. I still get depressed from time to time. I have been suicidal. There was a time I spent a number of weeks sitting on my front porch, planning out my end. You didn't expect that, did you? And I had it planned out. Ultimately, in the end, I didn't go through with it because I said, I cannot let my new grandbaby grow up with that. This was her grandpa. So I got to come out of, Dwayne, did you go to therapy? I did not. I called 2 pastors. I called one pastor, good man, but he was too busy. His schedule was such he couldn't talk. My wife contacted another pastor who I had known years before, who I had trusted, and he said, Dwayne hadn't suffered enough. Dwayne's too arrogant. If Dwayne ever wants my help, he can call me. She had said, will you please call Dwayne? He's in a bad place. He said, no, I'm not going to do it. So when I went to get antibiotics, there were none to be had. So I dealt with it. Didn't go to therapy, not anti-therapy, okay? But I didn't go to therapy. I dealt with it. You say, Dwayne, I feel so lost. Dude, welcome to human nature, man. Welcome to manhood. Who in the world wants to live a life where every single thing is laid out in front of them? You're supposed to feel lost. That's how you learn and that's how you grow. That's how you discover different roads and different paths and different ways of doing things. You say, Dwayne, I feel so alone. Who told you you were never supposed to feel alone? All right? Most of the time when people feel horribly alone, it's because they don't like themselves. That's who they're with all the time, and they don't like who they're with all the time. All right? A lot of these emotions are chemical. They're exacerbated by the chemicals that's in our food and the chemicals we eat, the chemicals we drink. That doesn't help the situation any. A lack of exercise doesn't help the situation any. If you go to the doctor and say, Doc, I'm physically ill. I'm physically ill. I need you to give me a pill. I need you to give me a shot. I need you to give me some medicine. Doctor says, well, what are the symptoms of your physical illness? Well, I have no stamina. I'm out of breath when I walk across the floor. And my heart beats irregular. And my knees hurt all the time. And I'm sluggish in the head and I can't think. Now, the doctor can do one of two things. The doctor can say, hey, here's a pill. Or the doctor can look you in the eye and tell you the truth and say, your problem, your illness is because you're fat. You're fat. You eat garbage. You eat too much of that garbage, and you don't exercise. This is not an illness that you need a hospital or you need a medicine or you need a doctor to fix. This is an illness that you need to suck it up and you need to man up and you need to put that damn cookie down and you need to go for a walk. This is an illness that you fix yourself by becoming a man of discipline and determination, a man of some self-respect. Isn't that what we do? We intake garbage. We intake garbage from the people that we hang around. We intake garbage from movies. We intake, and it's garbage. It's just garbage. We intake garbage from television and we intake garbage from our music. And there's so much anxiety and so much hopelessness and so much depression and so much yammering. It's like the world's coming to an end. And we take garbage in from the news source. I mean, if you don't believe me, just look at the cycle of the news source right now ever since Trump was elected. It has become hysterical. It has become hysterical, the garbage that people are spouting out. Hysterical to the point that even the people saying it don't believe it anymore. But we consume that. We consume all of that doom and all of that gloom and all of that it's the end of the world and all of that, oh, it's fascist, it's socialism, it's this, it's that. And we don't intake healthy stuff. We don't read uplifting stuff. We don't read good material. We don't listen to good people. We don't hang around good people. We don't take in healthy stuff. And we don't exercise. We don't study. We don't think for ourselves. We don't research. We don't look stuff up. And it gets to the point that we can't drag ourselves through life anymore. So we go to the emergency room and we sit down and we say, I'm mentally ill. And so they'll happily hand us some pills because they're making money off of it. And they'll happily sit there and talk to us every week for $200 an hour. But they won't sit there and say, your problem is you are emotionally fat. You eat garbage and you do not exercise. You don't expel this filth out of your system. This is not an illness that can be cured by a therapist. The therapist, most of the times, is paid to help you find someone in your past to blame all your problems on. Tell me if I'm wrong. How many therapists out there that you go to look at you and say, you've brought this on yourself. I know this is unpopular, guys. I know. But some of you need a swift kick in the pants right now. Because during this month, everybody's going to pat you on the head and they're going to rub your hand and they're going to whisper in your ear and they're going to tell you it's because of the women. The women are toxic. It's because of whoever we have president now, or whoever we used to have president, or because of how your parents raised you. And they're going to be willing to point out everybody in your ever existence who's probably to blame for the emotional baggage you carry right now. And the problem is you're emotionally fat from eating garbage and not exercising. You don't need an emergency room to give you antibiotics. You need to stop eating the garbage. You need to start eating good stuff, and you need to start exercising. And I'm speaking metaphorically and physically. Again, because some people absolutely do not listen to what I'm saying, I'm not saying that there's never a point and a place for therapy. But we're just like the society today that every time they get a cold, they go to the emergency room. And that's where men are heading today, if they keep following down this path. Look, do you not understand that something in this society has been attacking masculinity for years and has been trying to destroy men? Now, you can squawk about that and you can say, Dwayne, that's not true. It's very true. All right? Men are blamed for everything. Everything. And the razor industry is a $1 billion a year industry. Shave those whiskers off. We want you to look more like women. Look at how much soy is in the food that is produced today. And soy it's estrogen heavy, okay? And now this thing of men's mental health men's mental health month, there's just another deal that says we are afraid of strong men. We don't want strong men. We want men who are there's a phrase today that is absolutely starting to drive me crazy. We want emotionally intelligent men. I'm beginning to think that's a dog whistle that says we want men who act like women. There's nothing wrong with being strong. There's nothing wrong with sucking it up. There's nothing wrong with handling your emotional issues until you win, until you get victory over them. Now, I'm not talking about, I'm a very, very, very strong proponent of like military, first responders, police, firefighters, ambulance drivers, paramedics, PTSD. I've had PTSD. I know what that is. And I'm not speaking towards folks that get way over there and need help. I'll help pay for your getting help. I'm not against that. I'm not fighting that. Okay. I'm fighting us normal guys, us working guys, us fathers and us husbands and us working men who are just living life, and it beats the hell out of us. And I'm saying, don't tuck your tail between your legs and go whining and crying and fall with your head in your wife's lap and weep about how life hard is, how hard life is. Suck it up, be a man, and be her rock. You figure out what it is that's making you weak and fix it. And fix it. Talk to a buddy, because I'm sure he's going through the same thing in his own fashion. Figure it out for yourselves, all right? But suck it up and be a man. There's enough weak men out there who cannot get through life without somebody holding their hand. And I got news for you. things aren't hard. Yeah, life is hard. Okay, life is hard. I've talked about that before. But things are not as catastrophic at this point in life as they're going to be. And if you can't handle things as bad as they are today, what are you going to do when things get really, really, really bad? Ask for advice. Go to other men for counsel. Absolutely do that. All right? But don't go to somebody who's going to take your money and try to help you find where you can place the blame for what is actually your lifelong consumption of emotional garbage and your lack of exercise, your lack of consumption of the healthy and the good and the wise and the sharp and the strong. You want to be strong? You can't be strong if you're only strong physically, but you're weak emotionally. As a man, you have to be strong physically, you have to be strong mentally, and you have to be strong emotionally. And if you take a strong physical man who can bench press 300 pounds and can do this and do that, and if you can make him weak emotionally, you've got a puddle. You've got a puddle. Because the body's nothing without the emotions. And the body's nothing without the mind. All right? So that's my take on Men's Mental Health Month. If you are thinking about ending your life, get help if you need help. I want to make sure I clarify what I talked about earlier. I don't want you to take it wrong. All right? If you're an alcoholic and you need help, get help. I'm not saying suck it up and just deal with it, okay? All right? Do not deliberately misrepresent what I'm saying so that you have an excuse to keep being weak. But I'm saying if you're just not happy, if you're depressed, and I don't mean suicidal, I mean just depressed, dude, that's life. That's life. It comes and it goes. It comes and it goes. Figure out what you're doing to feed that and stop. All right? I don't know why I needed to say this, but I did. I started to say I don't know why, because I can tell, I know. I've gotten uncharacteristically scratchy in this video. That's passion. That is passion. That is genuine concern for the state and the condition of the men in this world today. I can't tell you how many emails, how many comments on the channel, how many Instagram posts. I can't tell you how many I get from men, mostly young men, who are just saying, I have a mental illness and nobody, I can't get, any help. But the more they go on, I'm like, you're not mentally ill. You're suffering the emotions of every man. You're dealing with life, and nobody has told you that this is just life. And you don't run to the emergency room every time you hit your thumb with a hammer. You suck it up and deal with it. Nobody's ever told you that. And I'm concerned and I care. And sometimes I think the passion comes out. And if it does anything, it proves to you that I'm not on here trying to make a buck. I'm really trying to save your life and save your state of mind and help you figure this stuff out, because society isn't going to do it. Society's not going to do it. All right? We do it. I do it. You do it. and we do it together. All right? I'm going to catch all kinds of grief for this. I don't even know if I'm going to have the nerve to post it, but I probably will, because I mean, what are they going to do? All right? I wish you the best. I hope you can discern how much I care. And that's my whole purpose for being here. That's my whole purpose for putting these out, is because there is an answer. And the poison that they're pushing on you isn't the answer. And I'm sick and tired of the lies that society's putting on you men. And I'm sick and tired of the underhanded means that do everything they can to make you weaker and weaker and weaker. You've got everything you need inside of you. All you've got to do is get rid of everything that you don't need and strengthen what you already have that you do need. You need a hot toddy. You don't need an antibiotic. All right? So I genuinely hope this helps you, and we'll catch you guys next time.